Good afternoon. I'm Alice Wetmore Jefferson, and I'm here at 210 4th Avenue, where I lived for 10 years. Let me tell you my story. My great-grandfather, Parsons Wetmore, moved here in 1817. He built a tavern in Pine Grove Township. When the tavern burned in 1820, he moved his family to Warren. My grandfather, Lansing Wetmore, was just a baby at the time. Lansing grew up to be an attorney and then a judge. My father, Lansing D, was also an attorney and a judge. When I was 3, my mother, Betsy Weatherby Wetmore, passed away unexpectedly. The judge didn't know what to do with me. So I was raised by my aunt and uncle, Eliza and Francis Henry. They lived in a huge house where the library stands now on Market Street. When I was 6, my father remarried. He married Maria Shattuck, and they had 3 sons. I didn't actually live with my father's new family. I stayed across the street with my aunt and uncle. I was so close to my Aunt Eliza, nobody could bear to part us. My Aunt Eliza took me shopping. She spoiled me anything I wanted. And of course, my Uncle Francis was rich, so the sky was the limit for me. My father lived across the street, so I saw him every day. It really wasn't as strange as it sounds. In 1835, my family purchased land from a farmer, Daniel Jackson in North Warren. I'm sure you've heard of Jackson Run Road, Jackson Street. Well, he purchased a lot of land, and he built a mansion they called the Pines. You probably remember Barley Nursing Home. That's what happened to the Pines after the Wetmores left. These are my 3 brothers. This is Edward, Frederick, and Albert. And this picture hung in the Pines for the longest time. We would summer there. Of course, we brought our servants because we don't want to rough it too much. But it was lovely there. In fact, Edward made that his permanent home later on. When I became of age, I went to college, Vassar. I graduated at the top of my class, of course. And then I came home to Warren to be with my family. One Sunday morning, we were sitting in church. We were pillars of the Presbyterian church. And I looked down the row, and there was this handsome man dressed in a military uniform, sitting with the minister's wife. I said to my stepmother, "Who is that?" And she said, "Why, that's John Percival Jefferson. He's the Rankin's cousin, I believe. Cousin, yes." So afterwards, when we were introduced, my stepmother invited him to call, and he did. We courted. That was in 1876, and in 1877, JP and I were married. It was a fabulous wedding. The best wedding the Presbyterian Church has ever seen. Anyone was there. Of course, there was no dancing or liquor. It was fabulous. We had a whirlwind honeymoon, 4 months in Europe, and it was wonderful, all but the trip over. I didn't like the voyage. I don't like water. It scares me. So I wasn't prepared to be a military wife. JP was stationed in Key West, Florida, and I was bored. He was always sailing or going somewhere. I had no friends. I didn't have my clubs. I had no charities to work. And there was no one there that I could even talk with. JP finally got a promotion, and we moved to Cleveland, Ohio, which was a little better, but still not for me. I was miserable. So I went to my Uncle George, my father's brother. My Uncle George was married to the daughter of the richest man in town, Thomas Struthers. Thomas Struthers offered JP a job offer he couldn't turn down. So JP resigned his commission. We moved out of Cleveland and we were home. I was so happy. Unfortunately, Uncle George's wife, Anna Struthers Wetmore, passed away, leaving her 9-year-old son, Tommy. JP and I moved into this mansion to help raise Tommy. We were here about 10 years, and it was 10 of the happiest years of my life. Tommy grew up to, when he was probably 19, JP and I moved out, and he built me the most gorgeous home on the corner of Market and 2nd. I'm sure you've seen it. It's right across from the Conewango Club. So we were happy there. We started different clubs. We started the Shakespeare Club, literary and music clubs. JP worked hard. He got several promotions. He sat on different boards of industry all over the world. It was fabulous. We were so happy. We made friends with a couple from Franklin, Pennsylvania, William and Mary Trunke. William was an attorney, and he was very helpful to JP in his business dealings. And Mary was a lot like me. We went to different clubs, and she was very nice. We liked this couple a lot. One day, out of nowhere, we heard that William had hung himself in a Turkish bath. We were shocked. Someone as handsome and successful as William Trunke, why did he not want to live? So being friends, we took Mary under our wing. We took her to church with us and different meetings. She met new people. And eventually she moved back to Franklin to be with her parents. The years went by, we were happy. Thomas Struthers passed away, and JP became president of Struthers. He made a lot of money. Together we had a lot of money. We were the cream of Warren society. His favorite book, however, was Robinson Crusoe. And when he decided to retire, he thought that he would sail the ocean and visit islands, do everything in his dreams, like Robinson Crusoe. Well, you know me, I hated water. I was afraid, I got sick, and I always had an excuse. I always had an older relative to take care of. I couldn't go. It worked for a long time, till my parents passed away. My aunt and uncle were gone, and he decided it was time. It was September 9th, 1914. We were arguing in the living room, and we got louder and louder because he wouldn't listen to reason. The servants heard us. I didn't care. I was furious. How could he do this to me? And then he said, If you don't go with me, I'm taking Mary Trunke. Mary Trunke was beautiful. She was adventurous, and she was 11 years younger than I. I couldn't have this. I would not have this. He would not make a laughingstock out of me. Can you imagine how people would talk? I was Alice Wetmore Jefferson, from the oldest and finest families in the county. I wouldn't have it. I threw my ring at him and I stormed out, slamming the door. I walked up Market Street. I had one last hope to get out of this gracefully. And that was JP's cousin and my dear friend, Mrs. Rankin. I walked up to 4th Avenue. Her house was dark. It wasn't that late, but it was dark. And I walked up on the porch, knocked on the door. She didn't come. No one came. No one was home. She was my last hope. He was ordering the yacht, and he would be calling Mary and making plans. I could just see JP watching tropical sunsets with Mary at his side. I wouldn't have it. He would not humiliate me that way. I walked off the porch, thinking of what else I could do. I walked out the sidewalk, and I walked into a train. The train that passed through Warren in the evenings. Of course, I died immediately. They had to pull my body from the second set of wheels. The doctor and the police were called, but I was beyond human help. I was gone. So, within a month, Mary and JP set sail, but I feel I won in the end because I still had my home, and I'm still the woman of the house. It's had several incarnations. Several businesses have moved in there, but that's okay. I'll share. People say they've seen my footprints on carpeting, and they hear my voice in a faraway room. Doors that are always locked are found standing wide open. It's still my home. I also visit the Historical Society at 210 4th Avenue. I was happy there raising my nephew. So if you happen to come to either one of these buildings, I'll look for you.